Nero sugod, todo sa kayod, dunong at tulog. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting nagigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan.
The Voice of the Blue Eagle, Radyo Katipunan, 87.9.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. The Voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay Atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Kawan ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugod, todo sa kayod, tunong at tulong. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting at tigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan.
And there was another drive-by
The
shooting
fire we
today
reported at the
downtown.
old fire hall
Police
is
to
still burning out.
Do you sometimes feel confused or lost in the complications and complexities of life? Do you feel drained, listless, or exhausted from the daily burdens and responsibilities? Why not seek our campus ministers on air every Tuesday from 2 to 3 in the afternoon? Listen to our counselors from the Loyola School's Campus Ministry Office as they ground our lives in our faith, in our school's spiritual tradition. Campus Ministers on Air. Be guided, be inspired, be blessed. Listen to our Campus Ministers on Air.
A graceful Tuesday afternoon, friends, and welcome to Campus Ministers on Air, the radio program of the Loyola School's Office of Campus Ministry, where we try to find God in anything and everything under the sun. Ayan, magandang hapon at maganda at maulan at malamig-lamig na hapon. So I hope that have your cup of tea or perhaps a cup of coffee. That's very perfect, no? For this slow Tuesday afternoon. Ayan. And for this slow Tuesday afternoon, before we get into our conversations, our reflections, just like the way we have always begun, let's just begin with a little bit of slowing down exercises just to be more mindful, no? Para at least mas ma-absorb natin, no, kung ano ba yung mga pag-usapan natin at mapagnilayan ngayong hapon. You just take a couple of deep breaths, take a break, and as you breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4, and breathe out for 6 counts. No? So breathe in 4 counts, hold for 4, and breathe out for 6 counts. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And do it for a couple of more breaths, so around five, five more. Just be mindful of the air that flows through your nostrils. Is it cool air? And the air that you exhale, is it warmer air? And just be mindful that we are here at this moment. Oh, wherever you are, whether you're at home, maybe you're at work, or in your work corner at home, and then just accept that we are in this moment and just bask in it. There's nowhere to go. Just be here in this moment. And so, with this peace and with this mindfulness, we begin our slow Tuesday, our slow Tuesday reflections by calling our God. You may make the sign of your faith or you may bow. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. And I invite you to listen to this song. So by Eraserheads, but sang in a different way by Where's the Sheep. And just try to recall any moment, perhaps this week or last week, that made you smile, or any moment that made you smile today, or maybe the past few days.
Lift your head, baby, don't be scared of the things that could go wrong along the way. You'll get by with a smile. You can't win at everything, but you can try. Baby, you don't have to worry, 'cause there ain't no need to hurry. No one ever said that there's an easy way. When they're closing all their doors, they don't want you anymore. This sounds funny, but I say it anyway. Girl, I'll stay through the bad times, even if I have to fetch you every day. You get by with a smile. You can never be too happy in this life. In a world where everybody hates a happy ending story, it's a wonder love can make the world go round. But don't let it bring you down and turn your face into a frown. You get along with a little prayer and a song. La 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 la. La 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 la. Let me hear you say, let me hear you It's a happy ending story. It's a wonder love can make the world go round and round and round and round. But don't let it bring you down and turn your face into a frown. You get along with a little prayer and a song. Lift your head, baby, don't be scared of the things that could go wrong along the way. And you get by with a smile. Now it's time to kiss away those tears goodbye. Do-do-do-do, la 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 la, do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, la 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 la, oh, oh. Do-do-do-do, la 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 la, do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, la 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 la. Let me hear you say, let me hear you say, let me hear you say.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Ayan. So what made you smile last week or maybe today? No, share it in the comment section below. No, share it with the other listeners, those who are watching. No, what made you smile today? No, what made you smile the previous week? Doesn't have to be something extraordinary. No, can be something simple. Now, for example, no, I have my cup of coffee here, no, which I brewed myself. No, what is something that makes you smile or made you smile? Ayan. Ano? And now we're moving on to our usual segment of Catholic Chica. No, some important news, relevant news regarding our faith, community life, and our spiritual life. So last October 18, so we celebrated World Mission Sunday, and Bishop Broderick Pabilio, the administrator of the Manila Archdiocese, said that it is not the role of the church and Christian believers to be neutral or impartial in the face of injustice. There is no neutral ground in front of injustice, oppression, and lies. No? And he said this during a homily during his mass at Santa Cruz Church. He also said we cannot be silenced because the duty of the church is to proclaim and act for truth, justice, peace, and love. So these are very important reminders, no, to not remain neutral. Although I understand, well, ako personally, no, it's hard sometimes to, for example, be involved, especially when there's this feeling of hopelessness or helplessness, no, especially during this very difficult time, no, in the pandemic, with perhaps at work, no, with your family, no, and it's so easy, for example, to just remain silent and remain to have a neutral ground, no, when it comes to matters of injustice, especially in terms of what's happening, no, in our society, no, with the government also, and things that are happening in our community. So it's so easy to be disheartened and to just remain quiet. But here is Bishop Abilio reminding us that as Christians, no, the call is for us to not have a neutral ground. No, no, sabi nga ano not to be lukewarm, no, not to be lukewarm, but to actually have a stand and to have an option. No? And hopefully that option or that choice is to side with God, no? To side with the values of God. No? And that's justice. Then in other news, a Bicol diocese intensifies efforts aimed at suicide prevention. A Catholic diocese is intensifying efforts to address the increasing rates of depression and suicide in Albay province. Bishop Joel Bailon of Legazpi said the diocese has taken proactive measures to confront the phenomenon amid the coronavirus pandemic. Actually, the rising rates of depression and other mental health conditions, it has always been rising through the years, no? But then because of the pandemic, no, it's amplified, no, because isolation not in a digital sense but in terms of very concrete and social way. Hindi tayo pwedeng lumabas para makipag chikahan, no, as much as possible. Although of course the measures regarding quarantine has been eased up a bit, no. Actually nga even the those who can go out and about, no, the age limit, no, some municipalities have has changed that. But then again, it doesn't mean that COVID-19 is no longer there. So there's still that fear and there's still that vigilance that is also asked of us, not just for ourselves but then for our communities. So this definitely gets in the way of social interaction, which is very important. I mean, to any person, no, we are very social beings. And so the efforts of this diocese in Albay, no, sana meron din ganitong mindfulness, no, in other Catholic communities, no, even church communities, no, that there are fellow members of our community who are silently struggling, no, who are silently have a hard time, especially by with the pandemic and other concerns, no. And then lastly, no, before we move on to our conversations and chikahan, no, on last week, teenager who passed away in 2006. Okay, sorry about that, no, because it's a rainy Tuesday afternoon at nakikisabay din yung aking internet. No, I'm really sorry about that. So I don't know where I was cut off, but then no, we celebrate the beatification of Carlo Acutis, no, whom we dub as the millennial saint. No, maybe let's just talk a little bit about him. No, So what enabled the process to sainthood to progress? No, what was the miracle? No, in November 14, 2019, last year, a child was who was born with a pancreatic defect. So si Matheus prayed to Carlo Acutis, no. Beforehand, no, his mother also had already prayed a novena asking for Acutis's intercession, no, for healing. And during the service, the mass, no, her son had simply asked that she could sleep as much. No, immediately following the service, Matthias told his mother that he felt healed and asked for solid food. No, when he came home. Until then, he had on an all liquid diet. So hindi siya pwedeng kumain lang nun basta-basta. After a detailed investigation, Pope Francis confirmed the miracle's authenticity. So what do we mean when we say the miracle is authentic? So it's the healing wasn't scientifically explainable, no, but there was healing, no. And because of that led to Carlo Acutis's beatification. Some quick facts about him: even at a very young age, no, he had a very strong devotion, no, strong devotion, especially to the Eucharist. Was also very inspired by Saint Francis of Assisi. That's why he asked his parents to be buried in Assisi, no, because he loved Saint Francis of Assisi. Interestingly, it was him who brought his family to the church, no, brought them back, no, kasi they no longer went to mass. So, who was very in love with Jesus and the Eucharist, who asked them to go to mass with him. No. Another interesting fact about his life is that he was an advocate of the Eucharist through the use of the internet. So he made this website about Eucharistic miracles, and it's still online, so you can search it out and you can look at it. So it's like an online museum, no. And they've said that that website has brought many, back, to mass, and brought many people back to the faith. So even at a very young age, he was very holy, and he was quoted to say that to be united with Jesus is my life plan, my life plan. And that's something very special and unique, no. Do we actually say that, no? That my life plan is to be united to Jesus, or to be close to Jesus, no? But then Carlo, for him, no, that was his life plan. And so with that, no, what is our life plan, no? I guess what this beatification of a very young saint means for a lot of young people is posible pala yun, no? Sa holy life during this time, in a very, without disregarding the technologies or whatnot, no, but actually to use them in a form that brings us close to poor, no. Si Carlo Acutis hindi lang siya malapit sa Diyos, pero malapit siya sa Diyos pati sa mga may hirap, no. And so I guess that's our Slow Down Tuesday reflection for this afternoon, no. How have you been spending your time, your life, and what has been your life plan, no? Ano ang plano mo? Yun yung tinatanong ng mga tita tuwing gatherings, no. At malapit na rin ang December, no. Ano bang plano? So to help reflect more on that also, but let's just watch this short video, Be Faith. So watch this.
These are roughly 28,835 jelly beans. I counted out 500 of them and used those to weigh the rest. In this pile, there's one jelly bean for each day that the average American will live. You might have more beans in your life, or maybe less, but on average, this is the time we have. Here's a single bean. It's your very first day. A special day, but kind of a rough day on everyone involved. Add 364 more and you have the first year of your life. Now, for a sense of scale, here are your first 15 years, 5,475 days, which brings us to the threshold of adulthood. And at that moment, this is the time that we have left. And this is, on average, what we will do with all that time. We will be asleep for a total of 8,477 days. If we're lucky, some of that time we'll be sleeping next to someone we love. We will be in the process of eating, drinking, or preparing food for 1,635 days. We'll be at work, hopefully doing something satisfying, for the equivalent of 3,202 of those days. 1,099 days will be spent commuting or traveling from one place to another, maybe a little bit more if you live in LA. On average, we will watch television in one form or another for a total of 2,676 days. Household activities, like chores and tending to our pets and shopping, will take another 1,576 days. And we will care for the needs and well-being of others, our friends and family, for 564 days. We'll spend 671 days bathing, grooming, and doing all other bathroom-related activities, and another 720 days will go to community activities like religious and civic duties, charities, and taking classes. After we remove all those beans, this is what remains. This is the time that we have left. Time for laughing, swimming, making art, going on hikes, text messages, reading, checking Facebook, playing softball, maybe even teaching yourself how to play the guitar. So what are you going to do with this time? How much of it do you think you've already used up? If you only had half of it, what would you do differently? What about half of that? How much time have you already spent worrying instead of doing something that you love? What if you just had one more day? What are you going to do today?
You don't have to um like compute or to look back for how many years before. Pero recently, no, how much time have you been spending on work, with family, no? And maybe look at the major things that you have spending so much time on, no? Your life. Ayan, and to help us reflect more about it, no, I've invited some of my friends, no, and they are all millennials, no, especially since kaka-beatify lang ni Carlo Acutis, no. So let's welcome my friends. Yun na talaga yun, no, yung major achievement, major way to identify them, no. So here with me this afternoon is Joe Arceo, Nikki Alcantar, Nika Fabela, no, and Art Buena, no. And they're here with me to reflect about their faith life, their life choices. At ayan, sige. Hello friends, magandang hapon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Ayan,
Afternoon.
hello. Good afternoon. Hello.
Internet natin.
Sige.
Gusto ko yung, gusto ko yung achievement ko is being your
Yung
friend.
achievement ni my friend. Yun talaga yun. Yun na yun.
Yun na yun.
I feel
Ayun.
so
Hindi,
much.
joke.
I feel so
You should
purposeful.
feel honored, guys.
I know.
Joke lang, no? But then maybe you can introduce yourself, no, to our listeners and to our viewers, no? So dahil in an alphabetical way na lang tayo, no? In through classroom fashion.
Classroom
So yun
fashion.
lang, no? When did you graduate? Just to prove, when did you graduate? When was your birthday? To prove to them that you are a
Happy
millennial.
birthday.
Pwede ba here? At
Oh,
least.
ayun. Sige, year na lang. Sige.
Yun na lang.
To reveal. No, ano na lang, no?
Ay, teka lang. Parang mali din.
Ang privacy nga pala.
Data
Privacy.
privacy tayo.
Sige,
guys.
no?
Blood type namin, pwede din.
Sige.
Alam.
Yung
Pangalan ng
sige.
pet
Star
namin.
sign. Star sign. Sige, Nikki, ikaw na muna. Ayan, just introduce. Baka say hi to your fans.
Hindi nila alam to. My fans. Afternoon, everyone. I'm Nikki Alcantar. I'm from batch 2012. Born 1990. So, pasok pa sa millennial generation.
Yes. Hi, Nikki. Ayan. Sige, Jo, ikaw naman.
Ako. Hi, I'm Jo Arceo. Batch 2012 din. We're batchmates ni Nikki. And 1991. Yun. Here.
Ayan. Hello, Jo. Ayan.
Yun lang talaga tayo. Ayan, sige. Ako naman ba?
Hindi ko talk about the 90s.
Basta pasok
Yun
sa
talaga yung talk about the
Basta,
90s.
basta ko.
Sige. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Art Buena. Year 1993, born year 1993. Batch 2014. 2014 ako graduate ng college. Nice to meet you.
Okay. Hello. Thank you, Art. And Nika.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Nika Fabella. Pinanganak ako 1991. Tapos, I graduated 2011. Yun.
Yun. Thank you, Nika. Ayan. And ako naman, syempre, to be fair. So, batchmates kami ni Art. No, we graduated in 2014 and 1993. Okay. So, pero actually, hindi sila parang, so for the listeners, no, and viewers, hindi sila random lang na, oy, millennial ka, free ka ba this afternoon, no? But
Ay, hindi
actually,
ba?
no. Ay, hindi ba? Yun na ba yun? It's really because, a lot, actually, all of them have been, sorry boses ko na lang kasi, well, pangit yung internet ko. But they're more org mates, no? Faith Formation org mates. And then si Nika din, kasama ko rin siya sa LST and then sa LST is the Loyola School of Theology, no? And kasama ko rin siya sa formator sa dorm, no? So the people here I've invited have dabbled into or are quite involved in faith formation, no? Ayun, and actually the reason why I invited them is to know what's it like for them to live out their faith, especially after having the structure of an org, parang not really there anymore when you graduate, di ba? Unlike for Jo, Nikki, Art, no, and Nika, no, na during college days, nandyan yung org to really set dates or set formation programs for you. So I guess that's the first question that I'm curious to know. What was it like for you to live out your faith after graduating, no, without the structure that a faith formation org affords you? Ay, parang ano talaga, parang face sharing talaga
Page
to.
sharing pala ito.
Face sharing. Walang gusto magsimula.
Tuturuan
Pause for
eh. Sige na.
reflection pala muna.
Oo nga, pause for reflection muna.
um, siguro pwede ako mauna. I can go.
Internalize
Sige,
siya.
Art.
Internalize muna tayo. Honestly, coming out of college, there were a lot of. It was difficult. Difficult uh, in faith since throughout yung college, even high school life, I've been in faith formation organization. Even after exiting college, nasa isang local faith formation group din ako. But since those were parang youth-based talaga sila and youth yung focus. And slowly, it was difficult transitioning and moving out of it. Kasi yung pagkalabas ko, mas varied yung mga kausap mo. And I think this will be similar to different experiences of people. And I'll be honest that there were a lot of times that I felt lost. Na I felt dry in terms of spirituality. I felt uncertain of what to believe and uncertain of the direction of my faith also. So it was difficult. So siguro ang pinaka naging direction niya is that from being used to having that structure, nag-shift siya to seeking structure, seeking opportunities of faith. Siguro yun yung one of starting point sa akin talaga na the transition to the work to working meant seeking for myself what faith meant for me, not placing
Mm.
myself in a structure anymore. Ayun. Siguro yun muna, yung paghanap.
Right, no. Ako personally, I was able to resonate with that, no, yung looking for what faith means for me, no. It's not something that's just, I guess, already there or present, no, kasi parang nandun yung nandun yung orgmates mo, pero ngayon nga, no, when you're faced in a different environment wherein living out your faith is not so apparent, parang, yeah, parang ako rin, no, I feel that most deeply, parang on a deeply personal level, parang what does it mean for me at this point, no? Yeah. For you guys, ganun din ba? Parang was there a certain point na ganun din na it was challenged for you na it needs to be more personal, or did you look for another group or a structure or something like that?
Sige, I'll go. Well, after graduation, going through JBP, it didn't exactly mean that maganda yung transition. In fact, even being in my area, even in an area na strong yung spirituality of the community, it still proved a struggle for me in terms of the work I did, and then tying it all up to my own faith and belief. There are times challenge talaga siya, given the isolation and the personal struggles of, oh my God, adult talaga ako. I'm really out of college. The safety nets are barely there. Despite all the offer of a safe space and a safety net, you still feel that loss of a very strong structural safety net. And then, parang and I thought it would get better after, but hello, I went to finance for 6 years, and there it's really a big challenge because talking about faith and spirituality, that's not what we talk about. And in an environment where you really try to compartmentalize personal and professional, given the environment you're in, it takes a toll sometimes, especially when you hear news of what's happening outside of your office, and you look around and say, how are these people reacting? How are they affected? Does it mean anything for them? nag-ads ka pa. So, yung Diyos at bayan na component, parang naghalo-halo. Pero parang wala lang. Yung katabi mo tuloy pa rin ng araw. And it got me thinking, where can I find space to where I can talk about these things? And luckily, there was around the time that I got invited to be part of the recollection program of OCM, thanks to Sir Arvin. So I was able to not only find space for myself, but reconnect as well with the youth, with the younger batches, actually your batches, and the batches that came after you, talking about this. And it helped renew the faith and spirituality that was built up during my years in Ateneo. And it helped, try to strengthen and give me a better foundation that just because I'm not in this very structured prayer organization or and group,
Right.
that doesn't mean that it stops there once I'm out. It goes on, and I'm lucky to count as friends people who come from those kind of organizations. So it's really like art. It's really finding that corner where you can freely talk about it and share your own experiences, maybe from the same faith or not. But the point is, you both feel the spirit moving in you.
Right. No. I think yun nga yung mahalaga na to find that space. Um, a lot of, parang there were moments also ko personally that para I sense that I've taken for granted. No, for example, the spaces uh, that I had that was so easy in terms of like living out your faith or whatnot. No, parang hindi pala ganun every corner na parang may meaning doon. Parang it's for God or it's for serving people. Hindi, no? But it doesn't mean that they don't talk about it. Is that they don't care. Parang ganun eh, no? It's just that their language of like love is different or yun nga, no, faith looks different. No. So, kayo naman Nika and Joe, parang what was it like for you in terms of, finding that your niche, no? Especially yun nga rin, no, your backgrounds also. What was it like?
Parang para sa akin, Nikki, medyo opposite yung transition ko from
Right.
the rest. Kasi nung college ako, I wasn't involved in a faith group or faith organization.
Okay. So
Mas
recently,
ano
ito
ako,
na lang pala to.
mas KKP ako doon.
Okay.
Parang prior to becoming a campus minister in 2011, parang I would say that my life has been siguro full of glamour, prestige. Kasi since 4 years old, mas dun ako sa beauty pageants. Yun yung interest
Ay,
ko. Not
pala.
about, not about faith life. And so the transition was very challenging during my first year as a campus minister. Kasi hindi yun yung parang, that was not the world that I used to live in. But my campus ministry family has been parang the very first faith group that I have. I could share my faith life. I was able to learn how to pray the Ignatian way and all that. Tapos, naging moderator din ako ng isang faith organization. So it was a challenging experience. The transition was very challenging, but I'm thankful na nandun naman yung campus ministry family ko to help me out. And I think they are also the reason why kahit difficult yung transition ko from that life to this life, nagtuloy-tuloy na ako. Parang
Yeah.
na ako in theology, tapos nandito na ako ngayon sa LST. So it was
Right.
difficult, but at the same time, very life-giving for me. So, yun.
Right, no. I thought you've been always like, kasi nga you're taking your spirituality, ministry, no? Parang doctor of ministry, no? I'm curious to know, no, what made it challenging for you to transition? Parang what
Okay.
were the from like a very public public
Okay.
life, no, as a superstar
Hindi
before.
superstar, hindi, grabe. Hindi naman.
Yeah.
Oo.
Photograph po.
Kasi for me, feeling ko, before becoming a campus minister, it was difficult to imagine Danica as a campus minister. Kasi nga, yun nga, beauty queen,
Talaga. So
parang,
hindi ka parang Nika, parang
yes,
pag nakita ka
hindi
nila,
yung ganito. Oo.
campus minister, ganun.
Hindi yung, hindi yung silent type na Nika, but medyo loud yung personality. So, it was difficult because during my first year as a campus minister, hindi naman ako trained to facilitate retreats and recollections. Yung course ko in college is secondary education, and teaching and facilitating recollections and retreats are two different things. Naalala ko, Nikki, nung first time ko mag-facilitate ng recollection, syempre may evaluation. So sabi ng isang student dun sa evaluation, I should improve on my facilitating skills. Kasi nga wala akong training sa CIS, wala akong mga ganong training when I was parang starting in the ministry. So it was very challenging. Pero it's also ironic na dun sa first year ko as a campus minister, it was challenging, but it was also the year when I fell in love with the ministry. So kaya din nagtuloy-tuloy na.
Okay, no? So mahalaga talaga yun, no? Falling in love. Ayan. At dahil falling in love na no, what is it like for you in terms of not just falling in love, no, with the ministry, no, pero what was it like for you? Kasi nga we've known each other parang in org also and in work, no, in OCM. And then I know you've been through different backgrounds or different work experiences. What was it like for you during those times?
Ako na ba? Sorry. Tama ba?
Hindi, hindi. Si Bruno, yung pet mo.
Si Yumi na lang.
Hindi, sorry, yung internet talaga nakakaloka. Yun, yeah, actually nakaka-relate ako nung naabutan ko yung kinukuwento ni Nika. Ibang-iba yung world before campus ministry. Alam niyo yan, alam ng mga ads yan. Talagang ako yung last person that people will imagine to be a campus minister and taking up theology, teaching theology. I mean, I wasn't really that good in theology in college. Yun, mahirap siya. In fact, when I was starting out sa campus ministry, I saw it more of as an escape from my corporate world. I was having so much existential crisis nung time na yun. Parang nagiging mas malinaw na talaga sa akin kung ano yung ayoko sa buong environment ng corporate life. Alam mo yun? Alam mo yun? And,
Nalala ko, inibita
nagiging-
kita kung gusto mo mag-apply sa Shakey's.
Yan!
Yes.
Si Nikki Fieso may kasalanan. Lahat.
Inibita ko siya kung gusto niya mag-apply bilang campus minister habang naghihintay maupo sa Shakey's. Right. Anyway, sorry.
It was fun. No, honestly, I think that was such a turning point kasi nung time na yon, gabi na yon, Nick, 'di ba? So mga 7 p.m., 7:30, kakauwi ko lang from Makati and I just went through EDSA traffic tapos alam mo yon, yung office life na sobrang stressful talaga. And sabi ko magpapapahinga lang ako sa Shakey's talaga nung time na yon before going home. Nagtaon naman na nandun si Nikki and yung conversation about the campus ministry thing just felt like a manna from heaven. Alam mo yung pag uhaw na uhaw ka, tsaka gutom na gutom ka, tapos biglang may magbibigay ng pagkain. Ganyan yung pakiramdam ng and,
Gusto mo pagkain pa rin yung metaphor.
Oo nga, consistent. Kumakain pa ako sa lunch. Ano yun?
Literally.
Yun, ganyan yung naging starting point sa akin ng ministry. It was an escape. It was a manna in the middle of a desert. And it just felt like it was an answered prayer. Pero syempre, nung nandun na mismo sa trabaho, ibang-iba na yung kwento, 'di ba? Parang parang kung meron akong imagery nga for it, parang kang yung mga Israelites sa Exodus, yung sinabi na, oh, pwede kang lumaya, okay, lumaya na sila. Pero nung nasa gitna ng biyahe, parang, shocks, uwi na tayo. Nakakapagod pala to. Ano ba itong pinasok natin? So, it was all throughout a journey of faith, a journey of pagpapaubaya sa sinimulan ng faith. Yun.
Right.
Yun.
Parang for many of us, no, pero I sense this, parang, were you even really aware of like where you're going through? Parang, did you have a perfect picture of what do you want to be, where do you want to go, or what do you want to do? No, I think kasi yun yung what people expect, 'di ba? Kasi when kasi nga we pag-usapan natin, no, what is your plan, no, what is your plan of life, no? Parang for other people when they ask you, oh, so anong plano mo? Parang you always think of what's your next job or what are you going to do? But then, no, in parang yun, no, pag tinanong ka ng tita mo pag Christmas, anong sinasagot? Or what goes through your mind? And then for you more deeply, what does it mean for you to say what is your life plan? No? In that sense. Sige, Jo.
I can start.
Nakita ko na yung kamay mo eh.
Nahiya ka ba? Bigyan ng shakies.
I think I'll begin by saying na what I always tell people kapag tinatanong nila ako bakit ito yung ginagawa ko. May script na talaga ako eh kasi you can imagine kung gaano ka absurd yung idea na mag-theology ako in general, like mag-spirituality work ako in general. If you've met me before all of this, I'm sure may intindihan mo kung ano ibig kong sabihin. I always tell people that it is a spiritual decision, not a career decision. It was something that I prayed about, not really planned about. And I think that is something that entails a lot of courage, entails a radical kind of trust. Ayun, yung tiwala na may pupuntahan siyang maganda kasi nagsimula siya sa isang lugar ng pagmamahal. Yun. Medyo cheesy siya pakinggan eh. Tsaka it's not something you'll say in reunions exactly, but I always assure people
Para ka
that
nagbigay na recollection pag sinabi mo siya sa reunion. That's true.
May scripture reflection pag joke lang. Ano ba yung sinasabi ko? Yun, parang, I think what people would want to hear from me naman kasi when they ask that question is, at, saan ka ba dinadala niyan? Or ano ba yung makukuha mo dyan? And mas madali siyang sagutin kapag ganun yung tanong eh. And I always assure people na kung ano man yung nakukuha ko dito is something that is not just fulfilling me career-wise, it's fulfilling me spirituality-wise, emotion-wise, because of the people I meet, social-wise, because of the kind of things that I'm able to contribute to society, and intellectually wise kasi there's always something new to learn. So, lagi kong sinasabi na lang sa mga tao na hindi man malinaw kung bakit ko 'to ginagawa, malinaw kung saan ako papunta, and kung saan man 'yun, I'm always at peace that it's something I would want for my life. 'Yun. 'Yun lang.
Thank you, Jo. No? Ako personally, I was drawn to when you said na it was a spiritual decision. No, parang ako parang nga no, am I mindful of my choices? No, do I consider it as something spiritual, or was it just really a practical choice? No, parang when you say practical, what do you mean when you say practical? Yan na ba yung you sell your soul? Parang ganun. You sell your soul, no, everything that's meaningful for you in exchange of an easy choice or something. So yun, so
Although I
kayo,
always,
parang,
sorry, mabilis lang no,
sige, go.
disclaimer lang. I always remind then people na this is a personal prayer. This is something that's personal to me. It's not something I go around prescribing to people. Kasi
Right.
iba-iba naman talaga yung vocation. Diba?
Right. True, no? So mahalaga din yun, no? Now, there's not one vocation for, I mean, there's a there's something unique for each person, no? Um, yun, for kayo guys, parang how do you, yun, or what do you say when you say, parang what's my life plan or what do you think about? And then, ako curious din ako, no? How, have you ever had any regrets? Ganun. Or how do you deal with regrets? Baka yun.
Siguro ako, siguro in the direction of life, I went out as if I went into a forest siguro. Na I went out of college and came into a forest. I without a plan. Honestly, my first job was only recommended to me by a friend. So it was more of me being placed in a place that I was not sure of. But it siguro yung katulad ng shinare ko kanina, it was about seeking for something eventually. Kaya siguro yung experience ko talaga, it was slowly seeing that ay may breadcrumbs of faith pa lang na akong nadadaanan. Because before, parang, as I mentioned, parang lost yung feeling na, kasi I finished legal management, but I went into an HR job with no skills in that area, not much. And it was only slowly building up as I went through yung different jobs ko that, okay, these are things that I find meaningful for me. Yun yung, and slowly, eventually, siguro after 6 years, ako nagkaroon ng personal conviction na, ito yung gusto ko. Na tipong, this is the area that I want to be in. This is the area that I find I can give most value to. So siguro to go back to yung question na how did it all come to be? What do I say when I tell my direction? Siguro yun na it was a process of finding myself through the forest, finding those personal breadcrumbs of faith that allowed me to identify also in myself na, ito pala yung things that were valuable to me. These are the things that I could contribute in. Kaya parang eventually, actually, during the lockdown na lumabas to na one of those existential nights na hindi ka makatulog. At
Halaga yung existential nights.
Oo kasi mga 3 a.m. na ako nagkaroon ng personal epiphany na, okay, my personal conviction is I want to create that place for people wherein they find opportunities for growth. Parang ganun, as in, it wasn't really a direction. It was simply parang a mission type na this is what I want to do. So, rather than having a plan na ito yung step-by-step na gusto kong gawin, it was more of, okay, what opportunities will help me deliver or go through with that personal conviction that I found. Ayan.
Parang ang ganda na, no? Kasi parang if you think of parang your direction or what you want to do, finding that perfect job, parang dun mo lang makikita yon in that place. Parang it's so easy to be just like hopping from one thing to the next and dismiss the opportunities that you have, no? Parang right now, no? But it's nice, no? Have you ever parang to think of what's your direction in terms of the broader theme of your mission. Okay. Sige. Hindi na mag-share. Parang estudyante.
Hindi.
Ayan, sige. And quickly, siguro, Nikki and then si Nika. Okay.
Okay. Personally, yung video before this about our life in Jelly Beans, sobrang atake niya. Because unlike Art who went out and tried unlike Art now who went and tried different roles in work in terms of work, I stuck it out with the same company for a little over 6 years. And when I entered it, I thought I knew what I wanted. Sure ako ito yung gagawin ko. Few years at this work, MA or MBA, and then, move on, see where go. But after years and saying, next year na lang mag-apply for MA or MBA, And next year na lang ako mag-change role or next year na ako mag-apply ng ibang trabaho. And it came to the point that this literally happened to me. That in the middle of a really long night of working, I was staring at Excel and it popped into my mind and said, ito na naman. As in literally nangyari yun. And it got me thinking how long I've been ignoring the signs. Kung nasa forest ako tapos may signs, and dami ko nang nadaanan, hindi ko siya pinapansin. That it came to the point that last year, um, a lot of events happened. So many that could have been me, that could have been, it could really have been me. And it got me thinking, if, sorry, medyo sensitive, but if I said, if death came knocking on my door, will I come freely knowing I live life? Or do I say, wag muna, hindi pa ako nabuhay. Hindi ko pa, I haven't lived out the life I hope to live. So it really pushed me to re to look at what I want. And I realized what I was doing was not bringing joy. It was not sparking joy. It brought the comfort. It brought so many
Mm-hmm.
perks, but
Right.
it could be the comfort or a trap. Diba? And hindi siya enabler eh. Trap siya eh. Just to, because, the comfort was there. Security was very solid. But it felt more like a trap instead of a foundation. So, sobrang, it really got me thinking what I wanted. And so, finally listened to the signs. Gusto ko, feeling ko sasabihin na nga ni Lord is, ano pa bang gusto mong makita or marinig para sabihin, ito yung gusto ko sa'yo. Tulak ba kita? um, and, you know, and life changes can be a little drastic kasi nangyari siya, tapos nag-pandemic. So, it also got me thinking, the what ifs. And despite it all, I say thank you nagawa ko na siya na to change my life's direction just in time because I don't think um, my situation then and the situation now would have been great for me. So, malaking blessing siya to, to see beyond what people think were the missed opportunities I gave up. Like,
Right.
security in a time of a pandemic. But,
Right.
and hearing from others, like, it's too much of a struggle and an unfairness. So, yes. And then, and with this opportunity of time, and dami ko ring nagawa per se. I got to volunteer a lot at different organizations. I got to pursue little hobbies that things up, and I'm finally able to work on the plans that I put off for 3-4 years. So here's to hoping that um, if I
Ayan,
were
may
to do
pusa
my
ka pa
life
dyan,
in
oh,
those
you can do
realities,
this.
I would have appropriated more to what what's more meaningful for me. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. No, it was a
Kailangan lang ng
very brave.
reminder na ginusto ko to.
Right. Pinili mo yan. Charot. No, but pinipili ka rin. No? It's just
Um,
important to remember. Sige, ikaw, Nika, no, what is like for you? You say this is your life plan. Now that you're doing your, no, your doctor of ministry, what's your life plan? What do you mean by that when you think about that?
Hindi ko alam kung naririnig mo yung lakas ng ulan, pero medyo malakas
Ah,
talaga
right,
siya. But
right.
anyway, um, akala ko nung graduation, clear na yung parang plano ko sa buhay. I mean, iniisip ko noon, I really wanted to become a high school teacher. Tapos, the plan or the goal was to take a master's in school management kasi I wanted to become a school principal. Parang yun yung goal. Yun yung
Ooh.
maging school principal. But God had other plans And siguro yung regrets mas dito na sa dissertation stage. Totoo yung sinasabi nila na napaka-lonely ng undertaking na ito, ng journey na ito. And sometimes, not sometimes, but most of the time, parang sinasabi ko sa sarili ko, ba't ka nandito? Ba't mo ginagawa to sa sarili mo? Sinong nagsabi sa'yo na mag-dimit ka? Ang hirap-hirap. And, there are nights when I really ask myself that question. Why are you doing this? And there are nights when it's just really that. It's just a question. I don't have an answer to it. But there are also nights na parang may sagot naman. And I think yung sagot na yun, it keeps me moving forward. Naalala ko yung dalawang defining moments ever since I started my journey as a campus minister. Very simple encounters with people na pag naalala ko yung moments na yun, sinasabi ko na, I think this is what I really want to do in my life. I really want to become a minister, a youth minister to be particular. Yung pinakauna, it's a simple conversation with a college student right after their seniors retreat. So sabi niya, parang nag-thank you lang siya. Thank you for facilitating this retreat. Thank you for parang leading me into prayer. And because of that, I was really able to talk to my dad. So yung conversation na yun, it just really stuck with me and it inspires me to continue, especially at times when I feel like giving up. And yung second encounter naman was actually with a catechist in the Archdiocese of Cagayan de Oro. Part ako ng team na nag-facilitate ng retreat with them. And sabi lang niya sa akin, after the formation session, sabi niya, padayon, it's translated, ano bang English ng padayon? Continue to carry on.
Yeah. Patuloy lang, no?
Patuloy lang kasi parang para sa kanya maraming natutulungan, maraming napapasaya. So I always try to remember that, especially at times when I feel like giving up, ayoko na to. But whenever I think of a life plan, I always think of becoming I think a youth minister. That's really the goal. That's really the plan, being a youth minister. Tapos, looking back, parang na-realize ko na sometimes God will lead you to places where you don't want to go. But sometimes you get to discover and you get to tell yourself, oh, this is my place and I like it here. Ito yung parang lugar na pinili sa akin ng Diyos. And maybe I don't get to parang, at first I may not be qualified. Hindi ko alam ngayon kung qualified pa rin ako. But I know na naniniwala naman ako sa sinasabi nila na God does not call those who are qualified, but qualifies those who are called. Parang in that sense, ganun.
Right.
So, yun yung life plan ko, to be a youth minister. And the challenge remains, Nikki, kasi pag sinasabi mo sa ibang tao na, pag tinatanong nila ako, anong ginagawa mo sa buhay? And then I tell them, isa akong campus minister. Tapos parang, ano yan? Ano ginagawa mo? I think parang you have to explain pa kung ano yung ginagawa mo. Katulad ng ibang parang profession na alam na ng mga tao kung ano yung ginagawa nila. So I think very true yung sinabi ng campus ministries director na nag-interview sa akin when I applied for the job. Sabi niya that campus ministries is a road less traveled. It's not it's very unlike the world that I know, yung my prestige, my glamour. But it's a world that is definitely worth living in. So, yun.
Right. No, true, no. So parang for all of us, no, it was a road really of just finding your place. No, but at the same time, the finding your place is not a very definite path. No, there's a lot of like being lost. No, and wala lang. Siguro for those listening and watching, no, parang ito nga yung my group of friends, parang in our group, no, we are from different backgrounds, so we chose different paths. We have different professions, but in the greater scheme or picture of things, no, parang we ask the same questions na parang what do I want? Ano, what is meaningful? No, ito ba yon, no? And even if you made the choice will always be challenged by other things, no? So parang yun interesting even for example for Nika na very enmeshed in the spiritual ministry, no? Hindi nawawala yung tanong, no? Ito pa rin ba yun, no? Even so it's not parang whether you're in a work that's deeply involved in spiritual ministry or nasa corporate ka ba or NGO ka ba, parang wala yung tanong, but then iba lang yung itsura ng tanong, no? And I'm just really happy. I'm really glad with parang that you were open, all of you were open to join this afternoon and to just be open about your experiences also in terms of like finding yourself, no, in terms of actually we're still finding and we're still trying to journey with this God and where we are. Um, I think siguro kasi, no, especially with the beatification of Carlo Acutis, there's not just one way to live out holiness. And in a very particular day, what's unique about him was that he used parang what he loved, no? Parang nakagawa siyang website or whatnot. And for those of us, fellow millennials out there who's still figuring that out, that's fine. No, we're all still figuring it out. And maybe it's not about like finding one definite moment or path, pero baka, yun nga, it's in the process. That's where you find whatever it is. No? Siguro nga mahalagang baunin nga yung pagpapatuloy, no? So pagpapatuloy. We pray, we ask for the intercession of Carlo Acutis, no? So that all of us, no, will be able to have that courage, no, to take a risk in life, to take a risk at life, to find that meaning wherever we are in that spiritual journey. And so thank you so much, Nika, Art, Nikki, and Jo, for spending your time with me, you know, in this afternoon and sharing your stories with me. For those of you watching and listening, we hope that our conversation has made you feel that you have a community. So there are a lot of people who are thinking the big questions, especially during this pandemic, no? Raising a lot of important questions. And I think in this time of the pandemic, it's also a blessing because we have this space to revisit our convictions, what we value, what we want. No? So God is calling us through an intersection of our likes also, no, and dislikes. So hindi naman niya tayo pinipilit anywhere. So thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. Baka kayo, Nika, Art, Nikki, Jo, baka meron kayong gustong batiin or meron ba kayong gustong i-promote yung ube mo, Art? Hindi ko alam.
Guys, bili ka ng ube. Alaya, the best. Ay.
Ayan. So, kung gusto niyo pong bumili ng homemade ube,
dapat may poster.
Ay, may poster pala dapat.
So, next time.
Next.
So, this has been your...
Ay,
ikaw ba? Okay, so, may ube ka rin?
Ay,
yung ipa-plug.
Joke lang.
Actually, ube namin, Art.
Bili ka na
order ko lang siya. Ano ba yun?
Sige, good.
Sa
Go, Jo.
Thursday, October 20. Ayan, sige. So October 22 on Thursday, may webinar kami ng Ateneo Student Catholic Action with Jail Cornelio entitled Para sa Bayan, para sa Diyos, para sa Bayan, ? It's going to be a discussion about his research on theological nationalism. So, etong conversation about the participation of the lay in the work of the church through social issues sa bansa ngayon, this is something that the youth can actually participate in actively. Ito yung paraan talaga ng youth kung paano niya maka-concretize at ma-express yung faith niya sa panahon natin ngayon. And I feel like this is very much in line with how Saint Carlo Acutis has lived out his life, diba? In whatever place he was in, he was able to respond through the gospel. Yun. Thank you.
Ayan, no? So, everyone's invited to that webinar, no? Theological nationalism, no? So, very apt, no? Especially during this time, no? So, thank you so much, everyone who stayed and who listened and prayed with us, no? During this afternoon, Slow Down Tuesday. And we continue to pray for our country and for each other. So, this is your campus minister on air signing out. Thank you, guys. See you next Tuesday. Thank you, Nika, Art, Nikki, and Jo. Take care.
In the darkness that turned to day, Lord, you made us from breath and clay. With thanksgiving and praise we say, we are yours.
From our bondage you set us free to discover our dignity. Made us your own for the world to see that we are yours. Though our journey's uncertain, be our life and our way. Be our truth now and show us who we are, Lord.
fire we reported at the old fire hall is still burning out.
Do you sometimes feel confused or lost in the complications and complexities of life? Do you feel drained, listless, or exhausted from the daily burdens and responsibilities? Why not seek our campus ministers on air every Tuesday from 2 to 3 in the afternoon? Listen to our counselors from the Loyola School's Campus Ministry Office as they ground our lives in our faith, in our school's spiritual tradition. Campus Ministers on Air. Be guided, be inspired, be blessed. Listen to our Campus Ministers on Air.
3 o'clock prayer. You died, Jesus, but the source of life flowed out for souls, and the ocean of mercy opened up for the whole world. O fountain of life, immeasurable divine mercy, cover the whole world and empty yourself out upon us. O blood and water, which flowed out from the heart of Jesus as a fountain of mercy for us, I trust in you. Holy God, holy mighty one, holy immortal one, have mercy on us and the whole world. Holy God, holy mighty one, holy immortal one, have mercy on us and the whole world. Holy God, holy mighty one, holy immortal one, have mercy on us and the whole world. Amen. Jesus, King of mercy, we trust in you.